once again, Ryan Day is tasked with deciding who the starting quarterback is going to be at the Ohio State University. And when making this decision, there are going to be certain things he wants to see in the person he names QB1 at Ohio State.
You are Locked On Buckeyes, your daily podcast on the Ohio State Buckeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, Buckeye fans? Welcome back to another episode of Locked On Buckeyes for the Locked On Podcast Network. I'm your host, Jay Stevens, also the host of the Jay Stevens Podcast. It is Friday, January 27th in the year 2023, and this episode is brought to us by our friends at FanDuel Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of Locked On. Make every moment more. Visit FanDuel.com/LockedOn today to get started. During this episode, we'll discuss if one quarterback on the roster can spice up the QB competition this offseason, and one thing we all need to see from the Ohio State Buckeye basketball team as they go on the road tomorrow to play the Indiana Hoosiers. But before we get to any of that, Ryan Day. Fridays are all about Ryan Day around here on Locked On Buckeyes during this offseason. And Ryan Day, once again, is tasked with figuring out who the best option for the football team is at quarterback. Joe Burrow, Dwayne Haskins. Haskins won that competition. And ultimately, I don't know if he would have won it if Burrow was healthy. He did have a hurt hand that he suffered during spring practice, which helped Haskins move up, and ultimately win that competition. But Ryan Day was there for that one. He was there for Justin Fields. Now, Justin Fields transferred to Ohio State to be QB1 at Ohio State, but ultimately he still had to win that competition. C.J. Stroud. Some will say Stroud was always the best option at quarterback. I don't know, man. I still wonder at times, was he the best option? And so you got Stroud, you got Haskins, you got Fields. All of them were picked by Ryan Day to be the starting quarterback at Ohio State. And this here's a little bit different because I don't think anybody has the upper hand. Haskins and Burrow were close. I do think Burrow's injury set him back. When it comes to Fields, it was almost an assumption that he was going to be QB1. When it came to Stroud, many people thought he was going to automatically be QB1. So when it comes to this year, what's Day going to use? What are some of the criteria he's going to look for and say, McCord checks these boxes, doesn't check these. Devin Brown checks these boxes, doesn't check these. And I've been on the record numerous times of saying I do believe that this is going to be a Devin Brown, Kyle McCord competition, little race here. Maybe Lincoln Kienholz will discuss that in the very next segment. But ultimately, I am not sure if the transfer quarterback from Oregon State is going to have the goods and be good enough to win this QB competition. And ultimately, when it comes to this competition here, Ryan Day wants to make sure whoever the starting quarterback is at Ohio State is a good leader. He's ultimately a good leader on the field, off the field, in the locker room, in the huddle, on the sidelines, on the field at 2nd and 8 on your own 28. He wants to make sure the starting quarterback is a good leader. And ultimately, I do think that leadership qualities, there's some guys who are good leaders in some areas and not in others. I have been in leadership positions previously in my life, and ultimately, I don't believe that I could be a great leader in every aspect of my life. I know there are some areas that if you say, Jay, be a leader here, Jay's going to fall back and say, no, that's not Jay's expertise. That's not what Jay's about. Jay cannot get this done. I know this. I understand it. But being a starting quarterback at Ohio State, you need to be a great leader, and it comes in different areas. I mentioned some. Workouts, the weight room, winter conditioning, spring practice, fall camp. How do you handle adversity, which is one of the things Ryan Day is going to look for, not just in a leader, but just in the quarterback in general. How do you handle adversity? How do you handle the moments when it seems like this is tough? This is tougher than expected. How do you handle those moments? How do you handle the moments, whatever quarterback it is, when things are not the way we scripted them before the game started? How do you handle the moments when it comes down to the the defense not giving the ball to the offense? Wow. How do you respond when the defense does not give the ball to the offense in favorable field position? It took me a little bit longer to get that out, but we got that thing done. How do you respond in those moments? Because I do believe, as a quarterback at Ohio State, you must handle adversity in a way that most quarterbacks do not have to handle adversity at most universities in college football. It is not just the Michigan game. It's not just playing in the playoff. There are numerous things that an Ohio State quarterback deals with that other quarterbacks don't have to think about dealing with in this sport. McCord, Brown, is it one of those two guys? I'm not sure, but Ryan Day wants to make sure that his QB1 understands and handles adversity properly. Keep this in mind as well. Whoever the starting quarterback is, it'll be their first time starting. Unless it's the Oregon State transfer. I don't think it'll be him. But if it's McCord or Brown, this is the first time that they have started consistent games at Ohio State. I do believe McCord started a year ago when C.J. Stroud missed a game due to trying to recover and take some time off with the shoulder injury that he had. This is their first time starting consistently. So there are going to be some growing pains. We got a little bit of that last year with C.J. Stroud. There are going to be some growing pains. There are going to be some ups and downs. How do you respond in those moments? Keep this in mind as well. How well does the quarterback understand the offense? Like, that should be elementary. That should be something that should be expected, an understood thing. But some people might realize, like, oh, well, he's so talented. He has a great arm. Forget understanding the offense. You have to cater it to him, which is true. The quarterback, Ryan Day, Brian Hartline, the other offensive coaches, they want to cater this offense to the strengths of whoever the starting quarterback is. But the starting quarterback must fully understand and grasp what the offense is at Ohio State. Because if they don't fully understand and grasp the offense and understand the playbook inside and outside, 3rd and 8 and 4th and 2, 1st and 15 to 2nd and 3. If they don't understand situational football and how it's found inside the playbook at Ohio State, kiss the chance of you being a starting quarterback at Ohio State goodbye. I do firmly think that these two quarterbacks understand the offense, but baby, these are going to get ramped up in a big way on April 15th. During the spring game. I did get confirmation. I do believe that I will be there for the spring game. I will, and so hopefully I may see some of you there this year at the spring game. I met my buddy Jeff Hunt, who's been on the podcast numerous times. Met him last year, him and his wife. They're at the spring game. And so you want to make sure they understand the offense. We're going to see that on full display during the spring game. None of this, relying on other people to filter us information, which is great. It's great that they can do that. But we're ultimately going to see who understands the offense very, very well on that day. But also, are they a hard worker? Once again, elementary, some guys are talented, immensely talented, and they ain't got to work hard. It's just their God-given gift. Ryan A. don't care about none of, he does care about God-given ability. He also wants you to work hard every single day. Just a few of the attributes and things Ryan is going to utilize when he approaches this year's quarterback competition before he names QB1 for the Buckeye football team. There's one quarterback I mentioned maybe once or twice, didn't really go too in-depth with him, who could spice things up in the summer. Who is it? We'll discuss that next right here on Locked on Buckeyes. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. The NFL playoffs are here. We're really excited about our new sports betting partner for Locked On because they're the number one sportsbook in America, FanDuel. And if you're new to FanDuel, that's even better. They have so many great features that make betting on sports fun and easy. New customers join today and get started with $150 in free bets, guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up at FanDuel.com/lockedon. FanDuel has all your favorite bets, from the money line to point spreads to player props. Plus, you can even combine your bets for a chance at a bigger payout with a same-game parlay. All on an app that's safe, secure, and super easy to use. So football fans, don't miss out. Place your first $5 bet to get $150 in free bets, win or lose, at FanDuel.com. FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the NFL. Thanks for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen every day. Make sure you check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. It provides everything you need to know about college basketball in one place. Plus, hear from big-name experts, insiders, coaches, and players. Locked On College Basketball. It's available on YouTube and wherever you get your fine podcasts. So this summer, there's a quarterback that will be joining the football team that is not there right now, has never been on campus. Lincoln Kienholz. Lincoln Kienholz out of South Dakota, three-sport athlete. I believe he's all-state in all three sports. Played, I do believe, in the Army All-American game down in San Antonio. This young man can spin the rock. This young man can ball. Literally ball. He's a great basketball player for the high school level. He's a great baseball player. He probably could play collegiately in all three sports, football, basketball, baseball. He ultimately is choosing football, and he's ultimately choosing to finish out his senior season of basketball and of football. And I love that decision from him. You've been working with these guys for years, some not just in high school, but also some going back to grade school. You've been working with these guys for this moment all your life. And I understand why this young man has decided to not enroll early, but to go to finish high school playing basketball, playing baseball. I love that stuff, man. I love it. And ultimately, that's a big reason why he's come. That's the only reason I do believe why he's coming in the summer to join the football team. And he can spice things up. I mean, think about what Ryan Day is going to be tasked with at this point in time. Lincoln Kienholz could easily come in. I'm not saying he's going to. He could come in and have the best arm. He could be the best on the move as a quarterback. He could be the best dual threat quarterback, which is what Ryan Day might want out of his quarterback. He might be changing things up. And Lincoln Kienholz could come in. McCord and Brown have been teammates for a year. They know each other. They know the ins and outs. They know what they're good at. They know what the other person's weaknesses are. And then comes this young cat, 18 years old, walking around campus, big old campus, not knowing where he's going, working with Ryan Day, Corey Dennis, Brian Hartline. And they are sitting here realizing and asking themselves, can this cat really come in and change things up and win the quarterback job? Highly unlikely. Highly unlikely. I won't say no. I'm not going to say he can't do it. But Lincoln Kienholz can spice things up. And remember how I mentioned in the previous segment about how Ryan A is going to be looking at a quarterback and see how they handle adversity? This is something that Ryan is going to be watching very, very closely to see how does this person handle adversity? How does this person here, how do they do when they have a new guy coming in who's fresh, he's young, he's green, he hasn't lost his black stripe yet, but he's going to be fighting to do that every single day. He's trying to learn the playbook, and ultimately he wants to be a starting quarterback as a freshman at the Ohio State University. McCord, Brown, you've been around a while. You know how I do things. You know how the coaches do things. How do you handle this adversity? It's going to be interesting to battle to watch. It's going to be fun to watch as well. It's going to be fun to see how these guys handle a newcomer coming in. Are they great teammates? I sure hope they are. Are they going to help them in ways when they can? Absolutely. And I wouldn't be mad if they were like, hey, we'll help you here, but bro, we on the field. I don't know you. What you mean you don't know me? You're coming from my spot. Actually, we're all fighting for the same spot. So therefore, I don't know you. I don't know who you are. That may be a little harsh. I ain't going to talk to you because we're competing for the same thing. And we're competing for the same thing, for the same spot, the QB1 title at Ohio State. I'm just going to be a straight competitor and tell you, buddy, hey, you're on your own. I get that stuff, man. Now, granted, Ryan Day, Corey Dennis, Brian Hartline, they may want to see one of the older quarterbacks work with the younger quarterbacks and all of those things. I get it. But if Kyle McCord or Devin Brown said, hey, bro, we bros, we are bros, but right now we're competing, I got to win this job, and we're going to cut off and slow down some communication because we both want the same thing, I would be perfectly fine with that, and it would make a whole lot of sense to me. think about this, though, man. I know when I used to sell cars and some of my boys, we would be selling cars together. Hey, man, we're competing. Now, I'm going to hype you up every now and then, but I got a job to do. You got a customer, I got a customer, both trying to buy a new Altima. Credit situations are similar. Hey, man, I'm trying to get this done. I'm trying to get this done. You're trying to get this done. In passing, we go say what's up. We go say hi. But in the heat of the moment, we're trying to win this thing. Not just sell a car, but also be the top salesman at the dealership. There are some friendly rivalries at dealerships and sales jobs. I do think there's going to be some friendly rivalries together with these 3 young men. But Lincoln Kienholz, you're going to see a young man come in. He's going to have a bandana. Last time I saw him play, he had a bandana on his head, one of the ones that you tie behind your head. More of a sports style for sweat, not the ones that people used to hang out the back of their pants, back of their jeans. He's going to come in and spice things up. And I do think the youth that Kienholz is going to bring, and him being green and just being a novice in the way that Ryan Day wants to run a football program, that could help him or hurt him. I mean, ultimately, we could be looking at Lincoln Kienholz and a player saying, hey, man, do you get Ryan Day? I mean, I get him. How well do you get him? I mean, I don't know him very well. I was under my high school coach for 2-3 years. I don't know Ryan Day very well, but I do know him a little bit. Do you think it's hurting you that you don't know Ryan Day very well? I mean, not really, because I'm just playing ball. Like, I'm coming in just playing ball, learning the playbook, spinning the ball, throw the ball to Harrison Jr. if I can, or Carnell Tate, Brendan Ennis, Noah Rogers, Brian Rogers, whoever it is, Jaden Ballard, whoever he's on the ball to, you're just coming out there and toting the rock and spinning the rock. And if Lincoln Kienholz looks good, Devin Brown, Cal McCord could have some of that friendly rivalry that I mentioned with me and my buddy. Actually, his name's Vincent Mitchell. And we'll see. We'll see what happens. Ultimately, Lincoln Kienholz can spice this thing up. I don't know how likely it will be for him to win QB1, be named that title, be given that title during fall camp, but it could happen. If he's that good, I hope Ryan Day forgets about the class that he's in, that he's an incoming freshman in the summer, and names that man QB1. May the best quarterback be named QB1 at Ohio State. May the best team win tomorrow night. I do think that's going to happen. And ultimately, there's one thing I do believe Ohio State needs to show on the basketball court tomorrow against the Indiana Hoosiers, because if not, they will lose this contest. We'll discuss what that is next right here on Locked On Buckeyes. Sports betting is not legal in Ohio, and Locked On has a perfect show to help new and seasoned gamblers. Download and subscribe to Locked On Bets for daily picks and analysis wherever you get your fine podcasts. Ohio State's basketball team can be confusing when they play the basketball. Those of you that have been around here for a while know that basketball might be my favorite sport. It's close with football, but it's basketball season, so let's just go ahead and say basketball's number one in my life. And this basketball team has too much talent to be playing the ways that they are. This basketball team has too much talent to sit here and have the ups and downs and the ebbs and flows, and they've lost 6 of the last 7 games, I do believe. This basketball team is way too good to be playing the way that they are. And in the last game this team played, the game was against Illinois on Tuesday. I had to think about who it was. The Fighting Illini were up by 17 points at one point in time. And we talked about it on the show after the game, the very next day. And I discussed that there are certain things that are inexcusable on a basketball court. I don't care who you are. There are certain things that are inexcusable on a basketball court. The biggest one to me is you not showing heart. You're not showing like you care. You're not going all out on the court. That's not allowed. And I say that because in this game, Ohio State only lost the game by 9, so it's not the worst margin of a deficit. But Ohio State was, let me get this correct, minus 18 to the rebound category. Illinois had 42. Ohio State had 24. Ohio State had 8 offensive rebounds. Wasn't the sloppiest of games that I've seen Ohio State play. But the heart, man, the heart was not there. And tomorrow night, 8 p.m. Eastern, there on Big Fox, there will be a camera I saw via tweet from Mike DeCourcy of the Sporting News and the Big Ten Network. I saw that there's going to be a camera at halftime with the officials, and I believe one of the refs will be mic'd up. I don't know how much y'all really care about that. I think the camera's a little excessive. I think the mic'd up referee is a good idea. Great idea. Just don't give me the all access with the two coaches. That was too much talking. And I'm trying to watch a basketball game from coaches. I like hearing the coach speak, but I still want to hear some great commentators commentate the basketball game. And so when it comes to this game tomorrow, Indiana Hoosiers, it's a good basketball team. They're a tough out when they are at home. They had some down moments in this season. But they're 14-6, and they're probably going to make the NC2A tournament. There's a good shot that they'll have 20 wins at the end of the regular season. That probably will not happen for the Ohio State Buckeyes. And if the Buckeyes want to get to the NC2A tournament right now, they're currently playing their way outside of said tournament. But if they want to get inside that tournament, act like you care. Act like you want to play basketball. And I say that not saying like, oh, and talk. Show me on the court that you're willing to dive on the ground to get a loose ball. Show me on the court that you're willing to go all out on defense. Show me on the court that you're willing to do everything Chris Holtmann asked you to do on the basketball court. Show me. I don't care about the talk. I even heard they've had bad practices recently, which makes me wonder, what is Chris Holtmann lost the team? Are they that disgruntled to where they're not listening to the coach? I don't know. But one thing is sure, act like you care. It's really annoying watching a basketball team that you want to see play very well, that you want to see be successful, and a talented guy in Bryce hits the ball, and a guy in Justice Stewing who could be good, solid, ZQ who's nursing a messed up knee, where they think it's not allowing him to get the lift on his jump hook that he normally gets. You have freshmen and Bruce Thornton, and a transfer in Ice Likely, and another transfer in Sean McNeil. All these guys are talented. They're really good basketball players. But somebody, at some point, show me you actually want to be there. That number right there is just one of the things that might say, ooh, this is not good. I don't have the full box score in front of me to where I can see different numbers and things at the end of that Illinois game. But act like you care, man. Like, you should never get outworked like that on the boards. Never. And I have seen one too many times. Basketball player on the Buckeyes. Shot goes up. Nobody goes to rebound. Shot goes up. Nobody goes to rebound. Another shot goes up. Nobody goes to rebound. That is really annoying. Now, I'm not Chris Holtmann. I'm not Jake Diebler. I'm not any of the coaches on the Ohio State coaching staff. Who I am Jay Stevens, the host of this year's podcast. I do think I'm a pretty good analyst of the basketball. And there's no excuse for what we have seen as far as the hustle and heart of this team. Too much talent. Way too much talent for the team to have this record, for the team to be playing like they have been. Losing 6 of 7, a losing streak isn't the worst thing in the world because you could come back from that. But when you keep trending down and down and down and down and down, things are not going to look that good for you. You had a game against Michigan coming up next month. I think 2 games left on the schedule between the Buckeyes and Michigan State. You have a game against Purdue coming up really, really soon. And you know what you want to see? The Buckeyes go all out. The Buckeyes give it all they got because they're literally scratching and clawing trying to get into the NC2A tournament. Didn't think that was going to happen. That was going to be a statement I was going to make on January 27th at the beginning of the year, or even back in December when the Buckeyes offense was rolling. Sometimes things aren't the way you want them to be, aren't the way they seem. Ultimately, this team, the Ohio State Buckeyes, they got to work on some stuff. You ain't got to really work on hustle and heart and going all out on the basketball court. That's inside of you. You could dig that out. And I hope they dig that out tomorrow evening as they face the Indiana Hoosiers in Assembly Hall. We're out here on a Friday. Show came out a little bit later than expected. For some reason, I've been way sicker than normal over the past 2 months, and little sickness came up once again, but here we are to close out the week strong. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at jstevens07. You can send all of your emails to jstevens317@gmail.com. Thanks for making Locked On Buckeyes your first listen today. For your second listen, check out our brand new podcast, Locked On College Basketball. Experts Isaac Shade and Andy Patton bring you everything you need to know on and off the court. Plus, hear from big-name experts, coaches, and even players throughout the basketball landscape. Locked on College Basketball is available on YouTube and wherever you get your fun podcast.